Hyponatremia is said to be there when a child has serum sodium less than 135 milliequivalents per liter. Next we come to hyponatremia. So what is the definition of hyponatremia? Hyponatremia is said to be there when a child has serum sodium less than 135 milliequivalents per liter. But likewise, when we are treating these patients, 130 to 135 is usually asymptomatic, and even while doing therapy, the target we use is usually 130 and above. So, but the definition strictly speaking is serum sodium less than 135 milliequivalent per liter. So, what are the causes of hyponatremia in children? There are a huge number of causes, so we'll try to be brief as much as possible. First of all is hypovolemic hyponatremia. What is hypovolemic hyponatremia? It will mean that the circulating volume is also less and the serum sodium is also less. This hypovolemic hyponatremia is also sometimes called as hyponatremic dehydration. Although they are not same, but technically, and even in Nelson and IAP textbook of pediatrics, the two terms are synonymously used. So hypovolemic hyponatremia, obviously you might be thinking now that we are talking about diarrhea here, right? So you are absolutely right. First will be extrarenal losses, in which you will have GI causes like diarrhea and vomiting. So diarrheal patient, you know that hypotonic stool is passed. I just told you some minutes back. So hypotonic stool is getting passed. On top of that, if the child is taking too much of hypotonic fluids, so it will produce a hypovolemic hyponatremia in the patient. Vomiting can also sometimes lead to hypovolemic hyponatremia, again when too much of hypotonic solutions are taken. We have skin involvement. In the presence of skin conditions which can lead to hypovolemic hyponatremia include sweating and burns. So depending upon the condition, depending upon how the patient is being managed and how much fluids are being taken, too less of fluids, the patient results in hypernatremic. Too much of fluids, too much of dilute hypotonic fluids, the patient ends up with hyponatremia. So that is why these causes were there in hypernatremia also, they are there in hyponatremia also. So it will depend upon the condition, right? Then third space losses can lead to hypovolemic hyponatremia like bowel obstruction, sepsis or septic shock, and peritonitis. Second, we have renal losses, which includes less aldosterone. Now less aldosterone can be seen in patients with Addison's disease, which is relatively rare in children. It can be seen in patients with 21 hydroxylase deficiency. That is common variety of congenital adrenal hyperplasia. There can be hypovolemic hyponatremia. Then we have ARPKD, autosomal recessive polycystic kidney disease. It happens in use of thiazide or loop diuretics, osmotic diuretics like mannitol, and cerebral salt wasting. What is cerebral salt wasting? We'll discuss separately in the end. Then we have renal diseases like tubulointerstitial nephritis, TIN, obstructive uropathy, juvenile nephronophthisis, and type 2 renal tubular acidosis. Although not mentioned here, but sometimes the polyuric phase of ATN, these patients can develop hypovolemic hyponatremia. So as I said before, it depends upon the coexisting condition. The same condition can cause hypernatremia, the same condition sometimes can cause hyponatremia. In these causes, when we are talking about renal and extra-renal. Now moving to the second category, that is euvolemic hyponatremia. There is a decreased serum sodium, but the circulatory volume is normal. The common reason for that is SIADH, syndrome of inappropriate antidiuretic hormone synthesis or release. In the presence of normal serum osmolarity, there is excess release of or inappropriately high release of vasopressin, which leads to this condition. SIADH is a standalone topic. It has been discussed in details in pediatric endocrinology specific module, so I'll not go into the details. But brief points related to this I will be summarizing in the end, what the points you need to know and how does it differ from cerebral salt wasting syndrome. Then we have hypothyroidism can lead to euvolemic hyponatremia. It can be seen in glucocorticoid deficiency. It can be seen in desmopressin therapy. Desmopressin therapy, especially when nasal form of desmopressin, nasal form was used in patients of enuresis. That is why the nasal form of desmopressin is no longer recommended for use in nocturnal enuresis child. Then antidepressants can produce euvolemic hyponatremia. It can be seen due to water intoxication, excess water intake. With this excess water intake can be iatrogenic. It can be due to child abuse. It can be due to swimming lessons. Child taking swimming lessons just keeps on, swallowing a lot of water. Overtly dilute infant feeding formulas. If the formula is too concentrated, it will cause hypernatremia. If it is too dilute, it will cause hyponatremia. And beer protomania. What is beer protomania? Beer is a poor source of electrolytes, especially sodium. Too much amount of beer, if it is taken, like people just consuming bottles and bottles of beer, diuresis does happen. But sometimes what happens is it compromises, there is too much of water inloading of the circulation. So when you are doing urination, there may be features of to slight hypervolemia, but the serum sodium gets diluted, and that condition is called as beer protomania. Too much of everything is bad, too much of beer is also bad. Not only for your belly, people who tend to drink too much of beer, they get a beer belly. You know the thing I'm talking about. There is excess, you tend to go into a state where you're not consuming anything. You're just gaining weight, you're just passing urine, and you're not being productive in your life. Think of Thor in Avengers Endgame, drinking beer, developing features of beer protomania. So that kind of a thing should always be avoided. And psychogenic polydipsia, some people just want to drink too much of water. These days you try to Google, there are people saying that you should be consuming 4 glasses of water in the morning, 4 in the afternoon, 4 in the evening, 4 in the night. Many of these people do end up with euvolemic hyponatremia. So everything in life should be in moderation. Moving further, we have hypervolemic hyponatremia. The circulatory volume is more, but still there is water, there is decreased sodium. This will usually happen when there is sodium and water retention, with the water retention being more than sodium. So this will lead to dilution of the sodium content. This is often seen in conditions like congestive cardiac failure. So you will have CCF, you will have cirrhosis, you will have nephrotic syndrome, you will have acute kidney injury, chronic kidney disease, capillary leak and sepsis, and protein losing enteropathy. So these are the causes of hypervolemic hyponatremia. The fourth condition is hyperosmolarity. Hyperosmolarity will be seen in patients of uncontrolled diabetes like hyperglycemia, and iatrogenic hyperosmolarity like sucrose, glycine, and mannitol. Now, why will hyperosmolarity lead to decrease in the serum sodium concentration? See, very simple. Suppose there is too much of blood glucose, it's very high. It will have its own osmotic action as well. So what it will do is it will slightly raise the plasma osmolarity. When it raises plasma osmolarity, it will pull water from inside the cell to outside. So when the water gets pulled to the outside, it leads to dilution of the serum sodium, right? Which produces some degree of hyponatremia in the patient. Despite this being there, the symptoms of hyponatremia are very mild or usually absent. The reason is, in most of the patients, hyponatremia is symptomatic when there is a change in the plasma osmolality on the lower side. That is, there is a fall in the plasma osmolality, right? In these patients, what is happening is plasma osmolality is conserved or slightly increased. So many of these patients will not have symptoms of hyponatremia. So you can remember that this particular category will have minimal or no symptoms despite there being hypernatremia. No symptom, hyponatremia. When I say sign or symptoms of hyponatremia. I am not talking about other symptoms related to diabetes and mannitol. वो तो होंगे. So this is one point that you need to remember. Now moving further, extra edge point. What is pseudo-hyponatremia? Pseudo-hyponatremia is seen in patients with hyperlipidemia or hyperproteinemia. Typical example of hyperproteinemia will be your multiple myeloma patients. These patients will have a normal measured osmolarity, right, compared to true hypernatremia, which will have a low plasma osmolarity.